Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to Sunrise Extra. This is more than just Sunrise. This is Sunrise plus the Extra. We sort of have two versions of Sunrise Extra these days. We have the version where we bring a guest on and we tackle a topic with some expert opinions. And then there's this version where the four of us just get together and we chat it up. We hold virtual
like
hands.
Old times.
Yeah, like old times. We hold virtual hands and we ourselves tackle a topic. And this morning we thought we could do this because there was an interesting article in the New York Times that we knew we all had some opinions on, and we knew our Sunrise Extra viewers would also weigh in on this topic. So please do so. We're talking about this article right here. 511 epidemiologists were interviewed, and they were surveyed for this article to talk about when they expect to be comfortable getting back to quote-unquote normal.
Drew, what's an epidemiologist?
Now, what the heck would that question be asked for? Is that to put me on the spot and potentially make me look silly?
No, I'm just being the voice of people.
I'm rolling through this intro right now, Nina. I can't be interrupted, nor can I really answer that question intelligently.
It's a disease expert,
Yeah, just make it super simple.
I want Drew to spell it. Spell it, Drew.
I will spell it right now without looking at this. Nowhere on the screen.
Oh,
Epidemiologist.
gosh, okay.
E-P-I-D-E-I-O-L-O-G-I-S-T.
Bam! Television.
We're already
Epidemiologist.
off the rails.
Yes.
That happens way
Well, can I just tell
faster
you
than I
that
thought.
I printed the article.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's 18 pages off of our printer. And if you just give me like literally 6 more minutes, I will finish reading the article and we can talk at length about it. No, just kidding, of course. So it really, I think the basis of the article was, it all depended on who the epidemiologist was as a person, right? I mean, some of these epidemiologists themselves may have certain health risks that affect when they feel comfortable getting back to doing things like riding a bus, or getting a haircut, or going to a restaurant, a regular restaurant, sit-down style with other people. I know that you also read the article, Brenda. I'm not going to ask you or quiz you on things like what is an epidemiologist, an anesthesiologist, psychologist, or
You're making me want a
psychiatrist
mixologist.
for that. But I ask you this: what was your big takeaway from this article? Hey, there's that microphone again, Nina. Why does your microphone keep making all that noise?
Oh my gosh.
Is it you?
It's me. Okay, let's get to the point.
Yes.
I asked
What
you,
is your
Brenda.
point?
I asked you a question. You couldn't hear it through Nina's scratchy microphone. I was saying, what was your big takeaway after reading this article, as I know you have read it already?
Well, my big takeaway, it's just interesting to hear the expert opinion about what they do in their personal life. When I interviewed the virus hunter, he's a guy at PSU who does all kinds of things. I asked him the same question. What would you do? I want to know how you're living your life away from being interviewed, because they have all, the best information. They understand how this virus spreads. I feel like I'm a little more on the cautious side. I think I'm making 2 appointments when Multnomah County opens on Friday. One is to get a haircut and color, and one is to go to my esthetician and get my brows done and all that kind of stuff. But that's it. I have no desire to go to a restaurant and sit even in a half full. None.
Yeah.
We're all kind of on the same page at my house. My daughter's in a higher risk group, so she's really still kind of just staying put to see how things play out. But yeah, I think that's my takeaway. I'm kind of naturally a little bit cautious. I want to see what happens first before I just jump back in.
I know that Nina has a desire to sit at a restaurant and enjoy restaurant service again, because the social media told me so over the weekend, Nina. So I know you and your family did just that, as we can now do that in many counties throughout Oregon. I want to read you this quote, because we covered this topic on the Sunrise TV show. This was not part of the story we ran earlier. It was a quote from one of these epidemiologists who says, "As much as I hate working at home, I think that working in a shared indoor space is really the most dangerous thing we can do right now." Again, this was an epidemiologist from the University of California, Berkeley. So again,
here's the full graphic that I think could kind of spark a lot of great discussion, and we have a lot of you guys chiming in already right now. But these are some of the possible activities that these epidemiologists would do within the next 3 months. Bring in your mail without worrying about it. Go see your doctor for a regular appointment. Go spend the night at the coast or something within driving distance. Get a haircut or get your nails done or something like that. This is the time frame time between 3 and 12 months. Epidemiologists would wait to go that long before you go to someone's house for dinner, you send your kids back to school, you work in your office, you take transit or you visit friends, or travel on a plane. So that is when the experts would go. And maybe a year or longer would they wait to go to a wedding, a sporting event, or even simply like hug or shake hands, go to church or religious services, or even stop wearing a face mask every day. So yeah, we went out to dinner. My mom lives in Lake Oswego. We went out to Lake Oswego and had dinner in Clackamas County on Saturday night. It was fabulous. They had every other booth empty. You know, everyone was wearing all the employees were wearing a face mask. You know, the menus, you could tell, were all sanitized. There's all of us. And it was a freaking joy to not plan, shop for, cook, or clean up after a meal for once in many months. And so we had a great time there. I had a haircut scheduled for last week, and some breaking news kind of derailed that. So I have one planned for Monday. My hair salon just happens to be in Clackamas County. But Multnomah County is going to be opening soon. So I'm ready.
That is the life of a TV newswoman.
Right.
Why didn't you get your haircut? Breaking news. Breaking news kept me from getting my haircut. We have a lot of our viewers chiming in. I think you're all taking a peek at what our viewers are saying, because this is a topic that they are jumping in on. And some of the familiar names here on Sunrise Extra weighing in this morning. Julie Wyatt being one. She says she's taking her caution to the extremist levels, if you will. I will continue social distancing until there's a treatment or a vaccine, she says. I'll be working from home, number one. Getting curbside pickup for groceries, number two. And she will only eat at restaurants in outdoor areas. She's not comfortable at this point going inside of a restaurant.
Rod, what about you?
Well, I think I'm the odd person out of our immediate group. I would say my caution level, and I'm being truthful, is 0.
Yeah.
0.
What does that mean?
Zero,
You're throwing
zero, zero.
absolute
I'm
caution to the
absolutely
wind.
ready.
He's not worried about it.
I'm absolutely ready to have my full life back to normal.
I'm almost there with you, Rod.
You're ready, but what are you doing in terms of, like, when you go, do you ever do the grocery shopping, Rod? Because I still feel like that's the one spot where I'm seeing masks
They're
more than
required.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So do you do any of the grocery shopping?
It's a
Rod?
myth, you know. I mean, up here in Vancouver, the two stores I go to the most is a store called Chuck's, a friend of the show, and then Winco, and I would say it's a mix. I have been to some stores across the river in Oregon, and I will tell you, and I've heard other of my Clark County residents say the same, if there's this many people in Oregon at a grocery store wearing a mask, you go into a grocery store here in Clark County and there's about that many people wearing a mask.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that why we have lower incidence
nearly as
of
many.
coronavirus?
Well,
Yeah. Only
that's
some
not a
stores
fair
require
statement
it,
because
but
you're
yeah.
talking about Seattle in particular. But,
Right.
But anyway.
I'm with you.
There's a big difference. It's much more of a cautious environment when you cross the Columbia River than up here in Clark County.
Into Portland, yeah. I'm going to still wear a mask, but yeah. I would
Jenna
like to do some
Strong,
stuff.
I want to get to some of these. She says, I don't think normal is going to be possible until there's a vaccine for this virus, and she's got several likes. And then there are also people, hey, Cassie Morris says, we've gone and done whatever is open, and she wants to know, why are you still talking about coronavirus? So there's really a very big range of thoughts and opinions.
I'll give you a back and forth. Tony says, and I am surprised when I still see people saying this. Tony says, all a hoax. Then he says, good going Democrats. To that, where was this comment to that? Okay, Cassie says to that response, I know the virus is real. We were out but never caught it. And then someone else says, tell the people that have died or have gotten sick from coronavirus that it was a hoax. I mean, that's the truth right there, right? How can you still call this a hoax, for goodness sakes? Because I know there are people like Tony that still believe that.
Yeah.
The fact is, we have people who have died from it. I don't know how many people you want to see die from it before you go, oh, I guess it's not a hoax. It's real.
Here's a debate for you, because I know, people want to maybe plan a trip to go see family or something, like even, 4 months out or towards, September or something. I don't know. Do you feel like, and a lot of people I've met or talked to who are planning trips say, oh, I'll drive there, and maybe, like, we have some family that lives in Montana, and one of my brother-in-law, his dad is getting really, really bad with like dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff. And so they drove from Montana back to Oregon, thinking, oh, okay, well, it's better than flying when you're on the plane for this long, but you're stopping at gas stations, they're stopping at restaurants, they had to stay in hotels, all that kind of stuff. So you're touching and being exposed to more stuff almost if you're taking a driving trip than like going on a plane. I don't know. What do you guys kind of think? I mean, Brenda, I know it's going to be a while before you're comfortable going on a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
You know,
keep
planes-
thinking. Oh, go ahead, Rod.
No, I was just going to say, it's, you know, I mean, I was a former flight attendant, so I spent a lot of time on planes, and I mean, planes are just capsules that on any given time, I feel like you're fortunate if you get off a plane and at the very least didn't catch a cold, right?
In normal times.
I can definitely understand where people have a heightened caution about not wanting to get on a plane unless something happens in their life and it's absolutely necessary to do so. Yeah.
I would probably feel comfortable. I would feel comfortable getting on a plane. My sister, I mentioned briefly on the show today, she turns 50 today. And I wanted to fly back there to New Jersey and say happy birthday, right? Be there with her this week. I had the time to do that. But there was the concern over work. I know our workplace is sort of frowning on the idea of people getting on planes, flying elsewhere, coming back, re-entering the workplace and all that business. In fact, you may have to quarantine yourself to do so. So I didn't want to go through all that. That really made the decision easy for me. But I am at a point where, you know, I'd wear a mask just to be as safe as I could on a plane. But I'd be comfortable getting on a plane right now if I really needed to fly.
Boy, you have to go right back into New Jersey and New York City, though.
I know. That's the other thing I thought about. Going there and going to a place that's been so heavily hit by the virus and coming back here where thankfully we have not been, I would feel to some degree very irresponsible doing that. So that was the other part of my decision. I was like, damn it, why does she have to live in New Jersey?
You guys got to meet in like a vacation spot or something in the middle of the country to do it.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard when you haven't seen people. I miss my son something fierce. We haven't seen each other face to face since the whole pandemic thing started. And it's just so weird. And people, a friend of mine was telling me, because her mom is in hospice and she has dementia and she lives up here in the Portland, Vancouver area, and then her mom is down in McMinnville. And she's like, at some point I was like, I don't know how much time she has left. And she did work out something with the facility, but it's not just, hey, I miss or I want to see. It's like these may be last moments kind of things that people are having to maneuver, and my heart just goes out to all of them. It's just a big fat mess.
Yeah.
I want to hear some passionate comments from viewer Rick right now.
Go ahead.
Following up on that, Rick, good morning, my friend. If that is really your photo there and that is really your mustache, I will say that is a strong mustache you sport on your Facebook picture. He says this is, in his words, crazy. He says, just open up. I think this is all political. The mortality rate is not there. I will never take a vaccine. Please stop this. The economy will already take over a year to recover. We're all going to die of something someday. If you're sick, stay home. Stop quarantining the healthy. This is something for the sick. That is viewer Rick.
I don't want to, I mean, just like those epidemiologists who said it's going to be over a year, you know, we're not going to have any kind of sporting events to go to anyway, the option of it. And yeah, being in large crowds, like, I'm not comfortable with that at all. It's weird to just see even people like when we were in Lake Oswego in the little kind of, what is that, Lakeview shopping area or something.
Right.
Everyone kind of going in between stores. It's just bizarre to see every time you do. But yeah, big crowds I'm not into. Mandy Sims on Facebook, thank you for weighing in. Good morning. She says she's super ready with cautions in place if we could all be considerate for each other in Oregon. And there was one other. Sherry Roberts says she's going to wait and see what happens. She's in no hurry to get out and about.
Can I ask you?
Ethel Henry Marquez, real quick, says I'm going slow.
Yeah.
There has been an upswing in Hood River County, so she's up there in the gorge.
This all stems from, or at least the genesis for this conversation this morning was that New York Times article. They talked to over 500 epidemiologists just to get their perspective on when these doctors would feel safe going back into normal life, so to speak. I was curious, Brenda, you mentioned not seeing your son for months now. I know he lives in the area, so this is a choice to not see one another face to face. And can I ask, is there a reason why? Because I thought to myself, well, that would be okay for you and he to see each other.
Yeah, like I said, my daughter's in a high-risk group, and so we kind of agreed early on that it would be best to protect her. And so we weren't seeing each other just in case I would get something and transmit it to Jaden. So basically that's why we haven't thus far. He also works with a high-risk population. He works with senior citizens. And thank God there hasn't been any kind of outbreak of COVID among them. But he's had to be really careful about what he does to protect the people that he works with.
I kind of knew that was the answer, but I wanted to hear you explain that, and thanks for sharing that. And I always think about you, Brenda. I work with someone who I feel like is taking as much caution as possible when it comes to all this coronavirus. You'll probably be surprised, maybe not, to hear about some of these parents in our neighborhood who, like, we haven't played baseball yet this season, right? And there still may be baseball in July or August for our kids. We'll have to see. But some of the parents are like really getting on the coaches and the administrators of the baseball league for the youth to like, hey, why can't we just get out and practice? You know, there's only 12 of us. There's only this many. And some parents even want to take it to the extreme of like, yeah, we can't play here right now, but let's go over to Idaho where you can play baseball right now. Kids are playing. Let's go play a tournament there. I mean, and I'm thinking, really? For a 12-year-old baseball? You're going to travel across the state and come back like that is, you know, so there's some people who are taking this very seriously, using as much caution as they possibly can, and there are others who are ready to just say the heck with it for even something like 12-year-old baseball.
Now, I know your wife, Mia, has really been on this from the beginning. She's been really reasonable and kind of, you know, taking precautions. Is she feeling still the same way, or has she kind of eased up a little bit?
We've eased up for sure.
Okay.
I mean, to be completely honest with you, we had a sleepover last weekend. A kid in the neighborhood stayed at another 12-year-old, a baseball kid, stayed with us, and we actually had the boys stayed outside when it was nice. I can't even believe this even happened, but there was a nice weekend a couple of weekends ago. Our boys stayed in one tent, 2 other boys stayed in their own tents, so they had like a sleepover outside in our house, but they were in our house having breakfast the next morning. That would not have happened 2 months ago for sure, or even last month. So definitely we have eased up by evidence of that. And here was an interesting situation. We went to visit one of Mia's cousins who just had twin babies. And we got there and we're like, well, we're not gonna be able to see the babies. Like, you know, that wouldn't be good. So we get there, we were just dropping off a couple of items for them, for these new babies. And they came out and greeted us with the babies and like right away, like, here, you wanna hold them? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I guess I could have said no, but I didn't. I said, okay. And now I'm holding the baby.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm holding the baby. Beautiful baby. But I was surprised. I didn't think I'd get near the baby, and then I was holding it that close. So obviously they weren't too concerned.
I posted about this also on my own Facebook page, and I have viewer Shelley Oliver says, I'm just waiting to see what happens after things have been open for a while. I wear my mask in public. We do take out and have had a couple of friends over for outside visits. No hurry, though, to shop or eat at a restaurant. So a little sampling of opinion.
I think stores, though, you know, they've been doing a good job. Like a couple weeks ago, I went to Star's Antique Mall over in the Sellwood area, and I love just kind of browsing the aisles. You can kind of forget about stuff, and you listen to kind of some of the old music, and they have a one-way in, you know, in certain routes that you take, you have to wear a mask, and they, you know, are limiting it to a number of customers at a time inside. And, you know, I felt totally safe. Like, they did a great job. I think a lot of businesses are really going above and beyond, you know, what they have to do by the guidelines. But it is just all your comfort level. But boy, was it nice to just like browse meaningless stuff, you know, and just kind of do something else for a little while.
I mean, the protests have definitely thrown an interesting wrinkle into all of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you have a situation in Multnomah County where businesses still cannot open as of today. And they're wanting to open desperately. These business owners want to get their lives back on track. They want to start making money again. They want to keep their businesses alive, and you are not allowed to do that. What you can do is come downtown to peacefully protest, nonviolent protest. And we see that involves people by the thousands, if not tens of thousands, locking arms and you know, being, you know, this close to one another, and again, in a group that we would be afraid to stick inside of the Moda Center right now, but it's happening every night in downtown Portland. I'm only bringing that up because once I started seeing that, I felt like inevitably people would think in their own minds, well, you know, things are things are getting back to normal, or we can get back to doing some things like going to the beach that we may have been concerned about doing. I don't know if the protests have changed anyone else's opinions, but I, for one, am looking going, okay, if we were really being as cautious as we were for a reason, we should be seeing something as a result of all
Well,
these
I think
people
in another
getting together.
week, the numbers are going to speak for themselves, you
Right.
know, like one more week, we're going to
I mean, I'm going to be shocked if there
We're gonna
isn't a spike.
see, yeah, I mean, I would think that there logically would be of some people. It was interesting news yesterday, that headline of, if you're asymptomatic, you're not really spreading it then. There's just been so many little tweaks and changes of what they're learning as we kind of go through this process about the virus. So I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the numbers, because we're already, I mean, more counties, they have to do contact tracing. They have those volunteers and paid people. So you are going to see more cases than that, but I just can't imagine there wouldn't be a big increase.
This continues to be a polarizing topic, right? We're seeing it this morning on all of our social media feeds, and all of you weighing in and chiming in. We thank you for watching. Just two more thoughts as we close out. Michael Warren says, "I thought the fear-monger programming was over. Oh, I forgot it's an election year." He says this is ridiculous.
Michael, we're just asking when you feel comfortable going back to businesses.
I think his answer is yes.
He's comfortable. Got it.
Connie says, "I'm like Brenda. I'm at a high risk. At least Brenda talked about her daughter being in a high risk category." She says, Connie does, "My mom is 89 years old, so as long as I'm around her, I'll continue to use all the precautions I can."
Good.
Hey, thanks for weighing in, gang. This has been a fun edition of Sunrise Extra with all four of us hanging out together, driving this conversation, but we can't do it without you, so we hope to see you tomorrow here for a Wednesday edition
Be
of
well.
Sunrise Extra.
Bye-bye.